Republicans on the Senate Banking Committee this week blocked a vote on President Biden's Fed nominees with questions over whether Sarah Bloom Raskin used her government connections to help a financial tech company obtain rare access to the Fed's payment system. Well, Biden has nominated Raskin as the Fed's vice chair for supervision. The blocked vote not only delays her confirmation, but Biden's other Fed nominees, including Jerome Powell for his second term as Fed chairman. We're joined now for more on this by the president of Zuma Global and financial analyst, Heather Zumarraga. Heather, appreciate you being with us. Republicans say that Raskin called the Kansas City Fed to lobby on behalf of Reserve Trust when she was a board member there to help the fintech company obtain this rare access to the Fed payment system after the company's initial request was rejected. I want to take a listen to Senator Toomey's comments on that.
We've simply asked questions about how and why did the Fed make a 180-degree reversal? What role did Sarah Raskin play in that? And we are getting stonewalled. It is not acceptable to provide no answers for the committee that is evaluating her fitness to go back on the Fed.
It's not likely at this point that Republicans are going to get the answers that they're looking for. But does it suggest to you the revolving door, so to speak, between Washington and Wall Street?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And that's why Senator Toomey is right to say that at least two issues need to be addressed. One, which you mentioned, the Reserve Trust being a fintech company who received this master account after being turned down is a few months after Ms. Sarah Raskin joined their board. If anything, it definitely says there's some sort of conflict of interest. So that needs to be addressed. And number two is that she has said that she will deny bank loans to oil and gas companies. And I'm sure most Americans watching right now know that the price of gas at the pump is skyrocketing. So one of the worst things we could do is deny bank loans to the energy industry that will only exacerbate the inflation story right now.
And I'm glad you picked up on that point, Heather, because Republicans have also made that point that Raskin wants to use these bank regulations to impose environmental policies that Congress refuses to pass. They've been pointing, of course, to a lot of her public comments on climate change about limiting the Fed's investments on oil and gas. Is it your belief, though, that this is her intention to change the role of the Fed? We heard her in the confirmation process and the hearing talk about how the Fed shouldn't be in the business of picking winners and losers.
Yeah, well, they should not be in the business of enforcing climate change regulations either. That comes from Congress and legislation from the people and taxpayers and what the citizens of America want. The Federal Reserve is in place for two reasons. They have a dual mandate, as most of the central banks around the world only have one, which is maintaining a stable money supply. Our Fed also maximizes employment, which they're doing a good job. I guess there's a lot of job openings right now, more than there are people wanting to work. But where they're failing is stabilizing our currency and keeping the dollar stable. Nobody seems to care anymore. That is their first and primary responsibility. We have interest rates near zero, and we are no longer in a crisis. So most economists are predicting about 6 or 7 rate hikes this year, a 50 basis point hike in March. What does this mean if you're a consumer? Well, the price of goods and services is going up across the board, and the only way to tamper some of those higher skyrocketing prices is to raise interest rates so that we can get inflation under control.
You really hit the nail on the head, Heather, and that is certainly what a lot of lawmakers say is the most important, arguably the most important job of the Fed right now, which is tackling inflation. And here we are staring down a potential war with Russia and Ukraine, which could really create a lot of pain for Americans when it comes to inflation. Talk to me a little bit about the challenges that Jerome Powell is going to be facing when he gets to this second term.
Right. Well, the debacle you just brought up, the looming war any second, any minute right now in terms of Russia invading Ukraine, is a big piece of what Jerome Powell and the Fed can and can't do, because he faces the inflation debacle. I think that's the biggest threat facing Americans. And the way to solve inflation is by raising interest rates. But if you're going into war and we have all these geopolitical tensions and risk right now, it's not a very good time to raise interest rates. Usually the Fed would lower interest rates when America or other countries are embarking on some escalating tensions. And so he really is in a debacle right now. Do you risk raising rates? And you're going to see a stock market sell-off as a result of that. Anyone who's held stocks for the past year, either in a 401k, a retirement plan, or otherwise, has had really big gains. But I think who it hurts the most is those baby boomers and people that rely on some sort of income from the stock market. You can't get it from bonds. So if Jerome Powell raises interest rates and stocks really go into recession and they tank 20, 30, 40%, as we saw in the beginning when COVID initially hit, I think there's going to be a lot of Americans, unfortunately, will feel a lot of pain.
Absolutely. Heather Zumarraga, we really appreciate you being with us, and thank you for the thoughtful way that you've laid everything out.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.